You're welcome to your extended magic moon message. This is the Peace Dealer. And we're going to be recapping this new moon in Scorpio to the full moon in Scorpio. Shout out to those of you joining me live on Instagram right now. And shout out to those of you watching this on YouTube after I post this there. All right, for my Eternal Vibe Tribe members and everyone in the membership. All right. Well, what a sequence have we had? This past 2 weeks have been quite monumental, quite epic, and true to Scorpio, we have been witnessing quite the transformation. So definitely take into account the past 2 weeks that we've experienced, because the next 2 weeks that is effectively producing and harvesting this past 2 weeks is definitely sure, I believe, to be even more jam-packed with intensity. Shout out to the Scorpio moon, Scorpio sun, Scorpio risings. It's been quite a birthday period. But yeah, moving forward, after we harvest this transit, we're going to apply this second stage harvest into the last stage of harvest, which is going to be Sagittarius season. And that's going to ascend us literally into godhood over the next 4 months. You're entering creator mode. And while that serves as both climax and a review of the year, whatever you want to call this year, where everything that wasn't on your bingo book got hit, has been happening. It's also going to segue and prepare you for 2025. All right. And if you thought 2024 was, interesting, 2025 looks very promising, and it looks like the ratings are going to be off the roof, off the charts. All right. So, first of all, once again, especially if you saw my monthly peace report, Scorpio season is not only the second stage of harvest that we have every year, but it is now the psychoanalytical transformation of behavioral patterns that you have not only stepped into through Libra season, where you're presenting this updated version of your character, but where, similar to a snake, you are shedding your old skin. You're dying to your old self. This is an inevitable process that we will have every year, because the concept of you every 365 days, every week, every day, dying to yourself, coming into a new understanding of yourself, learning new skills, taking those skills and creating new behaviors. And then, of course, now in applying these new behaviors with other people, the person who you were before that, you're no longer that. Okay. We do this every year. Does this have to be a 365-day process? No. But this is 360-degree math that helps you really align with the significance of a Scorpio season, and a Scorpio season like this. Especially if during this Scorpio season, you're coming into more of an intense realization that you have been actively transforming. I would love for you to, if you're on Instagram, comment a fire sign emoji. If you have not only been experiencing, a transformation in the way you relate and connect with people, which is going to happen every year, but you're noticing you're like substantially richer. Even if that means you lost a lot of money, it's like your whole sense of self-worth and this base that constitutes what you know you're worth and what you know you can, bring in your life. It's like a lot of goals you've believed you can achieve. You're actively seeing yourself become that, right? Is fasting during the full moon good? Fasting during any day, period, is good. Just, as long as you don't overfast, moderation. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like great question, by the way. But yeah, it definitely, is very important to establish, because you don't want time to just pass you by. You want to think that if you go back to 2010, when Saturn was in Virgo, right? If you go back to 2017 or 2000 when Saturn was in Sagittarius, right? You were working on yourself, as we always do. You had visions of where you wanted to be. You had dreams of who you wanted to be, what you wanted to experience. And I think it's important for you to acknowledge that, whether you feel like it's occurred, shout out to y'all in the chat, I appreciate you. Whether you feel like it's happened the way you've wanted to, you have fundamentally become, at the very least, an aspect, okay, of what you've always wanted to be. You have achieved goals, you've developed skills that at some point, and we can say as far back as 2012, a lot of what I'm saying is highly relevant to 2010, 2011, 2012, right? Just due to that last evolution cycle that we're coming back around to repeat. You have stepped up to a level that allows you to express what was once a vision of yourself. And there's a vision of yourself you have now that you're in another decade or a few years or months going to also accomplish as well. But the reason why it's important to really sync this right here is because, first of all, like, you're getting ready to just demolish, everything in your path over the rest of the decade. But it's really good to take this moment into account. Many of you watching me, the liquidity and the amount of resources that you will have at your disposal, or to really, explore, it's going to unconventionally be maybe more than you may feel you're ready for. I think many of you may not realize how much exponential growth you have experienced and achieved over the past 6 months alone. And with the 2-degree Pluto Aqua sequence that has retrograded and is going back into Aquarius, many of you have been viciously jumped vibrationally, awakening to the sea of chi and frequencies that represent the millions, if not billions, of other local consciousnesses around you. And we're not even talking about animal and plant species. So they're unconscious, subconscious facets of people that they may not even be conscious of, because maybe they're just, thinking about you, or angry, or maybe angry at something else indirectly, and you may be halfway across the country feeling all that collectively. Many of you have had to experience your brains stretching out to make sense of concepts that you may never have been taught words for. You have been experiencing with your own physical senses phenomena that may be prevailing, quote unquote, scientists have told you only exist in science fiction and fantasy. So a lot of what you're doing in its very core and essence is revolutionary, just by being and experiencing and being able to share these experiences with other beings, whether they're like yourself or starkly different. So in taking into account all this progress, remember, this is the I Told You So tour part 2. There was a burden of proof that others who disapprove or challenge what you do and who you are were meant to fulfill. They have not fulfilled this burden of proof. Last year, the first I Told You So tour, and this I Told You So tour series is marked by the North Node, which was, of course, in the 20 degrees, which was part one, and part two, now that it's about to leave Libra, you had fulfilled that burden of proof last year. Okay. You basically provided real receipts and results last year that transformed the beliefs of what many people around you believed. And now this year, it was their turn to try and debunk you, and they looking sorry right now. They looking sorry right now. They look distraught. They need some milk. Their whole world is crumbling around them, because when you're in a bubble, that's an illusion, and Neptune and Saturn is leaving Pisces, because years ago I've always said Saturn in Pisces is going to cut the veil. Well, those who've created an entire reality in a illusory bubble, don't worry, it gets better. It's only just beginning. But yeah, realistically, out this dream and bubble is an entire war field that, because you haven't been sipping any Kool-Aid, and I'm not even talking, first of all, I'm not even talking about politics. Politics and like the elections is just one example of this. It's just one example of this, where you see it happening everywhere. This is a theme that's going to continue to occur. So like, you feel me? Like, you have actually been challenging yourself. You have been aiding in your evolution and others. Everything, and I think many of you are starting to realize everything that you've done over the past 10 to 20 years was painstaking preparation for the rest of this decade and century. Over the next 4 months, you're going to come into the realization that so much of what you've mastered has perfectly prepared you for what you're meant to do starting next year. And for some of you, these prerequisites that you fulfilled, shout out to Jade, you may feel the pressure of wondering if you're good enough, if you're capable of this extra responsibility, of this next step. You may be feeling imposter syndrome, which is just pure cap. And I think the majority of you, you're like, peace dealer, I'm not even worried. Like, I'm not worried. I was born for this. I'm ready for this. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. For any of you that's feeling any sense of imposter syndrome, or for any of you that's just feeling a pressure of where you're ready to go, that's because you're getting ready to experience like bliss and success at a level that you may not have thought is possible, because maybe everyone around you, we're not blaming other people, but maybe other people around you may have indirectly or directly influenced you to believe that it's almost preposterous to consider like that as an option. There's also the theme with Uranus and Taurus opposite the Scorpio season energy that you are the impossible. There's an unconventional facet in just you existing alone and having original thoughts and ideas that I think through other people may finally be having you realize that you are the exception. You are, the unique difference in something that everyone just assumes is a certain way, and that's why you're at this place at the time to deal with the issues you're dealing with. See, back in May, where we were sowing these seeds to bet in ourselves in a way that looked batshit crazy to other people, or to invest in yourself that really pointed towards innovative and unconventional new directions. Well, 6 months now from then, before, where you were having to hold this seed and really just take action that you weren't really sure of the results of, now you're harvesting those results. Now with the sun being opposite Uranus, now you're in these relationships holding space, and now people are starting to realize, wow, like there's no one else who I know that is doing what you do, that has what you do, that says what you do. And it's literally the culmination and manifestation of what value you held. This is where this is objective, where regardless of what you believe you're doing, if those actions and qualities you held were bad for you, if they were toxic, if they produced bad fruit, that's what you're harvesting. If what you were doing was of integrity, that's what you're harvesting. It's very lonely though. And, like Sophia just said, I don't feel like I'm really the right person to speak on this because I'm addicted to loneliness. Like I do this hermit life. Like I really be on that. So I feel like, you know what I mean? The loneliness is the space for you to really not just recalibrate, but if you don't want to see it as preparing, really appreciate who you are and where you're at. Because it's really weird about being alone. Being alone sucks until it's the one thing you crave. Until you're with people who see you as less than you are, and you almost feel like you can't really be who you are, or like being who you are is like walking on eggshells, and that's the thing you're craving. So it's just something you really want to embrace while you have it. That being said, there's nothing wrong with feeling lonely as well. It's important to listen to these feelings because it's you stretching out your imagination and your emotion body, and just getting out of that comfort zone. So just know things, the only thing constant in life is change. And I just wanted to really share these themes and dynamics before we really go in to why this is one of the most important seasons we're having this year. Okay. Yeah, we don't care if the sun is in the constellation of Libra. We are talking about, of course, the imaginal space that allows on the ecliptic path for us to be in Scorpio season, seasonally, but not depending on the seasons. That being said, y'all, what are we up next? Sagittarius season is the climax. The end of this year is the climax. We're going to see things we never thought we'd ever see. And everything that's been kind of murky or in deliberation is going to be brought up so we can see the full meaning of. You're getting ready to take all of this power and magnanimity of self you've been harvesting and really working on, and over the next month, this climax of this whole 2024, if this was a sitcom, you're going to see the meaning into everything you are accomplishing. You have fulfilled in your beliefs. This is the last part of the I Told You So tour. Right now, this is part 2 of the I Told You So tour. You're winning part 2 of the I Told You So tour because you put in that sauce. See, last month in part 1, remember, the burden of proof had to be fulfilled. Like, no one could debunk you. Last year, you debunked. This year, people had to debunk you. They couldn't debunk you. They tried to hit you with ad hominems. They tried to make fun of you. They tried to shame you, but they couldn't really debunk what you were on, what you were talking about. And they suffered an embarrassing defeat. And all you did last month was discovery phase of a court case. Present receipts. The receipts through Virgo season were your behavior, because March was where but you took a gamble on yourself from March to May, and you had beliefs. As everything starts off as a belief, you had beliefs about who you could be. You had beliefs about what you wanted to achieve this year. And over the next 6 months, September was where you integrated this into your lifestyle. You took what was a belief. I believe that I can lose this much pounds. Boom, by September, you now have a routine that is the reason why you lost more than those pounds. That was your receipt. Now you brought this into Libra. Yeah, remember you said I'd be a fat bitch? Why'd I lose all this pounds? Look at this receipt. This is very important. This is very important because there was this seething towards you. I think maybe people felt like there was just a level that they would never see you ascend past. Like they could tolerate you only at a certain level. So the fact that you just skyrocketed all the way past that shit on a level that doesn't give them leverage for like emotional leverage that they created in their own minds and never existed in the first place. It's almost as if they're mad at you for indirectly proving that they've been living a lie. Instead of looking at the mirror and recognizing maybe there's certain things they believed that was never grounded in truth, you took your real actions, turned them into habits in real life. What you were able to show for real directly proved wrong beliefs that people were parading as truths. And instead of looking into the mirror to be like, hey, maybe in light of all these real facts, there's something about me. No, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Okay? All right? So you have clearly had the audacity to believe in yourself and to actually make it real through the life you live, through behavioral patterns that reflect your beliefs. All right? Scorpio season is part 2. Now we put the sauce on it. This is where we rub it in like, nani, nani, boo, boo, ha, ha, hoo, hoo. Seriously, this is part of the I told you so tour. You kind of have to. It's almost as if you don't put sauce in it. Some people be enabled to think that they can even treat you like you're less than you are. Even better that you have all the receipts, because that's the way you get in the tour. You need receipts because that's what remember you said this like 2 weeks ago? Hold on, let me get the video. This is you. This is you. Look at you now. Feel that, okay? Because Sagittarius season is the climax. This is the wildest. Sag is headlining. So it's just going to be like, yeah. It's like the whole crowd say, I told you so. I told you. So it's going to be dope. But like, yes, Scorpio says all that with a look. That's facts. So, you know, this is not only a very intense feeling, but the reason why this is important is because that investment that you made in yourself in May is fully harvesting. That's what this full moon is. Join me in the full moon ceremony tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to schedule it tomorrow, if not tonight. But like, it's important to really treat this as a milestone because a huge lever is being switched. And a lever of this quality is bringing change that you never seen. Like, imagine if you've been in a nightmare since 2008 or 2012. Like, what you're experiencing right now is the end of a production company that's being replaced with entirely new management. So many people stopped investing in this, like, production company. So many people stopped actually tuning into this production company. There was a writer's strike over the past few years. And now you're seeing at a level of a legacy, you know, programs that were produced on this production company, it's done forever. It's like a nightmare that's over forever. You know what I mean? It's not specific to just 2008 and 2012, but like many of you may not be aware, as soon as this new management stepped in, the writers stopped striking. They came back and were okay with less pay. People are starting to tune in again. It's like there's a reimagining of maybe a production company that almost saw its last days, but you know, now all of the corruption in that company is getting like exposed and gutted out. But the reason why I want to say that is you're getting ready to, over the next 6 months to a year, transition into the beginning of this new era. The 2008 to 2024 era is over. Now we're stepping into the 2024 to 2044 era. That's a 20-year arc. So being in between then, if you remember being in like 2006, 2007, boom, we stepped into 2008. It's not so much a lull period, but if you think that this year, January, February, April, May, it's almost as if, imagine you made investments, but the investments you made were with a surplus that's more than you're used to. You did something with confidence in yourself you didn't normally have, and now you hit it big. But like this harvest is moving forward through this full moon, going to constitute unconventional transformations that you couldn't plan for. And I want to give you an analogy, and then I'm going to go through with the 2-week recap. It's almost that as for some of you, your spirit team had like this amazing plan set up for you. It's like there's certain, I don't even want to say your spirit team, it could even be certain aspects of, you know, society or the public, and it was a foolproof plan. It was traditional. It by all intents and means, it's not like it was the wrong thing to give you this plan, right? And maybe this might not apply to all of you, but basically it's like maybe over the next 3 years you would be making $300,000 a year, and after 4 years you have like $900,000 that you're going to invest so that you can somehow make your way into like $5 million, right? And as they were telling you the plan, you did something that terrified them. You took that investment capital and you hit a parlay, and you now have $10 million. What you did could not be planned for. First of all, it's so unconventional, right? You just took your money, you invested in some random meme coins and crypto, and like they were terrified. They can't enable your behavior because what you did goes against what they believe, but it just so happens you produced results that they could never replicate. So they can't necessarily tell you did the wrong thing, because now, whereas they plan to get like $1 million in 3 years, you made 10 times that in like 6 months. So that's really what is happening to you right now. Like, if you resonate with that, please type in sauce or unexpected. Some of you, I don't think you realize you're getting ready to come into unexpected windfalls of income, and it may not really hit you, or you won't really expect it, because there could be certain traditional means of making money. There could be certain values or ways and scenarios in your head that you think what you want has to come through, and you're going to get ready to see it come through everywhere else. It's all through the next 2 weeks, by the way, so you don't have to wait. Like, we're here. Once we get to that 180-degree exact, and then the sun in a couple of days directly opposes Uranus, that's it. Sagittarius season, we're going to oppose Jupiter. Like, that's really what I'm trying to tell you. This next sequence of events is going to rapidly climax, because we've hit the critical spot where everything we've been sowing seeds for, everything we've been preparing, this is where it all harvests. So let me give you math regarding that. March was where we had the Sun-Saturn conjunction. So we sowed seeds in Pisces, Sun-Saturn, Sun-Neptune. April was where we had the Sun-North node. Uranus is where we had Sun, Jupiter, Venus, all in Taurus. That's what 6 months later we're harvesting now. So of course we traveled to August, September, May, or rather June, July, August, September, were the periods where what we sowed seeds for began to break through the ground. July, August, September, we began to integrate what we had activated in the beginning of the year. And then boom, October, November. This is the harvest season that also coincides with some of the most significant harvests that we're experiencing socially. Credence for this is, back in May, back in April, these were individual decisions. So where are we seeing this harvest? The effect is taking place socially. You can go outside and start to see it transform. So coming into Sagittarius, that's going to complete this major contract you signed with existence itself. That's a reach. With Chronos in March, in Pisces, with your imagination, with your beliefs, right? And of course, what does that look like? If you sowed seeds in Pisces season about new beliefs, the completion of that is Sagittarius, where you're seeing visually the meaning of everything you believed. If I believe that I can be in shape, then by Sagittarius, I'm seeing, oh, wow, I'm in the best shape ever in my life. because through Virgo, I created a routine with which I'm going to do consistent. So this is magic. Boom. Simple magic. And that's where I'm saying don't sleep on Scorpio, because it's now that this transformation is kicking off. So now that we've got this, I just moving into this, I want you to know that this is that critical point. This is why moving forward, you're unexpectedly and unconventionally going to be coming into windfalls of income and serendipitous events. But is it unexpected? Is it out of nowhere? No, you did the work 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 30 years ago. Your ancestors did 248 years ago. Like, all this through your DNA helix is coming through you. So that being said, we've talked about how Scorpio is in and of itself a harvest of unconventional natural energy. Now let's talk about the new moon 2 weeks ago, where we activated this cycle pre-election, where people didn't know that an ascended Gemini was going to take office again and terrify millions of people. All right, so we activated this rare pure energy. The moon in Sagittarius immediately showed you the higher meaning of this wisdom you've activated. Wisdom now, after Libra season, where we're coming into the result of our partnerships. Through October, you've made decisions with yourself and other people, reflecting in the way you carry yourself and thus how you're going to move forward with other people. So this is now the result of that, and the wisdom through experience, especially Virgo season, that you've gained, creating new behavioral patterns. So now you have applied that in those relationships, and now you're being aware of how that has transformed dynamics. Boom. Moon in Sagittarius gave you an ascended understanding of the value of this wisdom. Then the moon in Capricorn took this perspective we manifested in Sag, and then we directed it by feeling the integrity of where we could take this wisdom and the power that transforms the mindset of our psychology. That's the third house, 60-degree angle to the Scorpio sun. Then taking that new moon to first quarter square activation, when the moon entered Aquarius, we began to integrate the advanced science and knowledge of experiential wisdom, which we do every year. But this year, we had Pluto at the end of Capricorn, awakening this extreme terror. Realization of how power is quite literally shifting. And I mean that as it's shifting from Capricorn, the great power, to Aquarius, the people, humanity. Now, what's really cool is the last time Pluto was here, every revolution known to mankind happened in France, where Napoleon was taking on almost every European monarchy. Haiti, America had already signed its Declaration of Independence. Last time Neptune was in Pisces, where it's in, we had our first Civil War. Abraham Lincoln was president and got assassinated. All sorts of stuff. You feel me? But what's relevant about that is, given the direction this country and subsequently the rest of the world went after certain divisions were made, which weren't exclusive to just America, but we're going to reference this for just an idea of how historical a period like this is, revisiting cycles that shaped everywhere on this planet and where we are right now. So this Aquarius moon broke through the ground the seeds that you planted 2 weeks ago. All right. 2 weeks ago. And that gave you a knowledgeable base for you to apply this transformation of yourself in your relationships with others. Then the moon went into Pisces, and with this knowledgeable base, because remember, water signs represent states of your emotion, and you need air, logic, to balance water. Otherwise, you'll be delusional, you'll be living in a bubble, and we've seen recently why you don't want to be like that. Okay, so we took this logical, knowledgeable base And that's what allowed us to fully express our delusion, to fully express our emotion, because now we know where we're going out of bounds. Now we know when we're just lying to ourselves. And that's what really now began to integrate a full creative expression of not only how creatively you can imagine, but now we are talking about the psychoanalytical transformation of your psyche, the psychoanalysis of your relationships, borrowing from Virgo's analysis, which changed your behavioral patterns. So the moon in Pisces not only stretched out the talents of what you can begin to discern through your imagination and metaphysical mechanics that aid in your transformation. Shout out to spiritual Dr. Alfie. But this moon in Aries now applied this change of belief, reinforcement of the integrity of existing belief systems towards who you understand yourself to be. Who you understand you are has now integrated this new transformation of yourself, thus changing the way you understand yourself. For example, back in April, your understanding of yourself was like someone who decided to actually do track and field for the first time. Before then, you've seen people run track and field, but you never really thought you would be on the track and field. You're still, like Aries, a baby. You still never really, tried or played an event. But you're there though. You took the first self-defining action to go to the track and to actually, start running track and field. Now let's fast forward to September. By September, you already know what event you run. You already realize, oh, I'm a sprinter. I'm a 200-meter runner. No one's seeing me. You even have a little sense of delusion where you feel like you're the best, because you have to have a little. And like you're in the gym, like you're practicing your 200-meter. You ran like a 15-second. You're working on making it a 14-second. You feel me? And then let's go to October. Your understanding of yourself as a track star is as one who's finally competing in their first track meet, right? You have never ran a track meet before. You've never been in the regionals, right? Now in Scorpio season, you actually won first place at the 200. So your understanding of yourself is as someone who has actually achieved some form of success. You've harvested the results. Whereas in April, you had just started learning track. You didn't know if you'd be good or not. By Scorpio season, you know you're good at this event or not. You know if you're trash or not. You know if you're good or not. So do you see how every month as the moon is in Aries and the hour hand shifts zodiac signs, this adds a greater shade and gradient. And we're going to do it all over again when we come back into next season, 2025. Oh my God, this is going to be crazy. So next month, our understanding of ourselves is going to be more creative. And then once we get into Capricorn, this is where we're done with the playoffs. Like now you understand your high score. We do this every year. So we've taken this understanding, and now coming through the moon in Taurus, we're getting ready to harvest this. This is going to produce unconventional transformation of your partnerships and a natural quality of feeling yourself transform on a physical, tangible level that's going to feel like a comic book. So this is where, now that I've spoken on the math, it's time to get super real with you. All right. First of all, I think many of you are coming more into the awareness that at this stage, even though we're still beginning over the next 20 years, you're starting to sense through your physical senses, metaphysical dynamics that almost incorporate a higher dimension. So as a third dimensional being, you're starting to sense more tangibly the presence of beings who transcend this dimension. You have been feeling your brain process this through craziness because your brain is having to input phenomena that it doesn't process, so it feels crazy. But now you have been through integrating new power, like a firmware update. This is starting to now apply, I would say, years worth of subconscious and psychic development all at once. So you may be experiencing, for some of you, delirium, for some of you, madness, but you don't want to be afraid of it. The reason why I'm hesitant to say this is because you may have been unintentionally suppressing what's getting ready to just literally blow completely from you. So there's certain things that I want to kind of mention. First of all, you're being watched in a way that is getting ready to completely change the way you perceive your living experience and your understanding of yourself. Facets of yourself that have been revealed are being confirmed by other people because you're not separate from these other people. And now the most important thing I want to really speak on is we have officially reached the critical point. The sun is opposite Uranus. Next month, the sun is going to be opposite Jupiter in Gemini. Next month, the sun is going to be opposite Mars retrograde in Cancer. And then boom, sun Pluto. So there is an exponential progressive quality to how quickly you're going to be awakening supernatural powers, that this is the last calm before the storm, before it for some of you it gets uncomfortable, but before you really begin to see, because through Sagittarius season, you're going to be seeing into the supernatural. You're going to be seeing facets that have existed your entire life, but your brain did not have the firmware in order to capture it. So you didn't notice that you were seeing something you were always seeing. I hope that makes sense. Imagine that something has always been in front of your face, but you had not developed the consciousness to even be aware that it was there, even though your intuition always lets you know that it was there. All right. It's like something that's very far away from you, but it's actually right in front of you, right under your nose at the same time, right? Almost like a dimension of experience. And all of this is getting ready to unveil for you quite literally right now, moving forward. So the best way to explain this is throughout the previous years, but most specifically since March, you have been stacking supernatural quality of power and essence. So what I mean by that is, since 2008, your body has been awakening like a firmware update so that you can actually run supernatural programs through your brain. The best analogy of this is, over the next 20 years, you're going to be using the force. You're going to be doing telekinesis at will. You're going to be having more flawless telepathy at will. You're going to be moving stuff with your brain. You're going to be astral projecting at will. You're going to be lucid dreaming at will. I know some of you already do that. You're going to be shooting fireballs. You're going to be using your energy so that you can enhance how you feel. The reason why you didn't notice this is because it's always been happening, right? But over since 2008, you were awakening the body that can produce this phenomena. In that you've always been producing this phenomena, but you may not have been able to been aware of it because it was happening at such an auto-nervous level. You're not aware of blood cells that are moving through your body. Of course, because your body was awakening trauma responses that had to awaken you out of fear, and unconscious ways you have nerfed and blocked yourself have been completely released and awakened. So now with Pluto going into Aquarius, it is the equivalent of you awakening the Force. I haven't seen Star Wars, but I do know through a few clips that Luke had issues harnessing the Force because he had subconscious issues believing in himself. Yoda had to tell him, you either use it or you don't. And this can represent thousands of subconscious responses that have been programmed within you by your environment and by fears you've had, that over the past decade and a half, you kicked its ass. You have awakened. So now over the next 20 years, you're now awakening the force, the mental energy for my Hunter x Hunter watchers, Nen, Chakra, Chi. You have always had access to this, reclaiming your full DNA, but you had to awaken your body to handle this intensity of energy. The way so many of you are getting jumped, like many of you are opening up, I'm not going to say telepathic channels, but your brain is receptive, maybe clairaudiently, clairvoyantly. It's like you can feel intentions from others without having to hear it physically, see it physically. And you've now been able to stretch out your vocabulary to make sense of these experiences because you're really like that. And I think so many people around were comfortable with you not realizing this aspect of your potential so soon that it's really causing others to project their fear of themselves on you. That being said, now that you're at a position and point where you can now command the higher faculties of your brain, moving forward by the end of the year, and some of you watching me can already do this, once again, you're performing telekinesis, you're performing telepathy, you're performing like things that you didn't believe were as possible before, but now an adventure of synchronicities where you're accidentally reading people's minds, you're accidentally just automatically knowing when someone's gonna, like, that's not an accident. You're really like that. You have higher faculties of your being and mind that you've been nerfed to. Your brain can't perceive, but still exists. So you're getting ready to awaken now over the next 20 years. And what's the great project around this? You watching me right now can take the bioelectricity and bioenergy and mental energy that your brain and consciousness exudes, the bioelectric field that your heart generates, and the natural energy. You can unite all of that to levitate and lift your body off the ground. This is not magic. This is actually science. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. This is actually science. This isn't a hocus pocus magic. You can willfully, intentfully use your natural bioenergy and your spiritual mental energy to exert yourself and fly. This is something that right now you may feel is impossible, but 20 years from now, you're going to be doing fluidly and flawlessly. The reason why I want to say you can fly right now is I think it's a belief that realistically gives you an idea of the paradigm we're shifting into and how revolutionary and important you are. You may even be part of the generation that learn how to use their own bioelectricity energy to fly. All right, levitate off the ground. And I want to use something that's seemingly impossible. If you think that flying is impossible, even if just levitating yourself off the ground, this is perfect. Because something equivalent to that, over the next 2 weeks, you're going to achieve. We're going to harvest this transformation over the next 2 weeks. Coming into Sagittarius, you are seeing yourself ascend into godhood, a higher faculty of mind and philosophical engagement that is now having to retrograde with Mercury and change the meaning of everything you experience, because now you are exhibiting characteristics and performing actions that you didn't believe you can do before, because now you are seeing the results of work you've put in. It's not like some magic fairy, you know what I mean, did this. You did this. So this is what over the next 2 weeks is going to prepare you for this next era, this next paradigm, this next wave of children that are going to bring, I think, an exponential level of development consciously, with which we've probably bottlenecked and hit the climax of the 100th monkeys or whatever. So all I really want to say is congratulations. You're immediately going to experience this through an instant manifestational quality. So I want you to examine things that you think about and things that you intend to have, and how quickly and effortlessly through others or through yourself they come through. These are elements of your God mind, dispelling the illusion of separation, and an element of your humanity, because you've never been a human. You're a human being, but your humanness is just a form that you have. And you know this better than I know this. But like, now there's vocabulary opening up for you to not have to be in a spiritual closet, for you to not have, I can imagine being born in Pisces season or being a Pisces and having to hold yourself back, because like most of what you experience, most people won't experience in a lifetime. And now you're able to be more open with these. People are still going to think you're weird, but you're able to open more and like show people maybe a small percentage that you've seen all your life, and now you're helping other people see. But regardless of the zodiac sign you are, you have activated this transformation, and over the next 2 weeks you're going to harvest this transformation. It's going to bring you to the final part of climax this year, where you're going to see all of these concepts. But that means over the next 2 weeks, that's what's going to be responsible for everything you're going to see. So you've done the work, you've activated this. The next 2 weeks consists of you reaping what you sow. And it's going to consist of a rapid and accelerated development of powers and abilities that you have been putting in work for years relative to your commitment to yourself, you actually holding yourself accountable. And these are spiritual gifts for some of you that have lain dormant in your DNA, inherited from your grandparents, your great-grandparents, inherited from beings that may not even be related to you by blood. You're coming into recognition and profound depth of understanding as to why you had to experience everything you've experienced over the past 7 months. Like, some of you are going to realize you're so genius, a setback you put yourself in could have saved your life. And because you believed in yourself so much, this is once again demystifying this whole theory that anything happens to you on accident. And you are really like that. You are really like that. Like, there are facets of yourself you've never even considered are so brilliant, and you're providing yourself the receipts as you connect with other people who you are quite literally destined to achieve all of this with. So congratulations. I'm really like that. Thank you, So Unique. I think that's a really good affirmation to take moving forward. And the last thing I have to say is maybe, I hope it's not too controversial to quote this artist. I believe I could fly. I believe I could touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. I spread my wings and fly away. I had to sing that last part. So there you go. That's an initiation. Some of you watching this wholeheartedly believe you can fly. And you don't need to know anything else. You don't have to know how to fly. You believe you can fly. And that's enough for you. Others of you don't believe you can fly. And you need evidence and proof. And this is going to keep you grounded. I'm not telling you to run off and jump off a building. That's not faith. That's stupidity. But you're going to, over the next 2 weeks, come into harvesting supernatural abilities that you may have felt only existed in fantasy. You're going to take that into Sagittarius season, and you're going to show the entire world everything you can do. And for some of you, the supernatural ability is quitting and going cold turkey. Like that's the last part of the I Told You So tour, Sagittarius season, where we've presented the receipts. Well, now you're going to demonstrate your abilities. That's why it's the headliner. You activated new abilities in June. You mastered techniques in September. And now it's time to show the world that you were really like that all along. Y'all stay blessed as always. I'm going to upload this on YouTube. And you can join me tomorrow for the full moon ceremony. But congratulations, especially for though, like, don't get so caught up on this side, that side. Congratulations for maintaining, your authenticity. The only way you should feel disappointed is if you did not commit to your beliefs. If you did not necessarily stick with the integrity of your beliefs and you allowed yourself to, more or less enable delusions. But if you stuck to what you believe in, regardless of the outcome, a win or a loss, you did yourself a good thing. And you're getting ready to harvest that. So you stay blessed as always. And until next time, peace.